Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my co-pilot, Mr. 𝐒𝐲𝐚𝐽. How you doing, 𝐒𝐲𝐽?
Doing good. Well, I'm doing good. What we're about to talk about makes me very angry.
Oh, super
But yeah,
frustrating. Boys and girls, we are going to get into the Jets-Commanders game as well as the latest drama surrounding our New York Jets, most importantly, Haason Reddick and his trade request that he put in with the New York Jets. So, 𝐒𝐲𝐽, I guess, do we want to tackle the Commanders game first? Do you want to tackle the Haason news first? Because the Haason news is
I want to
definitely
do the Haason stuff first
Okay.
because the Washington, that's a good time, the Commanders game. Preseason is fun. We get to talk about nice and good things, and I would prefer to do that than start on the hey, look, super fun, happy times, and then get to the absolute darkness that we're in.
That is fair. All right, so let's do that. We'll pull over the Haason Reddick stuff. But if you guys have not done so already, I would like you to hit that like button if you enjoy what you're seeing here tonight. There is a poll question in the live chat for all you guys that are subscribed. Any subscribers are going to be able to vote in the live chat. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trading for Haason Reddick was a good move, a calculated risk, too risky, or a bad move. So I'm curious to see where the chat winds up on this particular topic. And as you guys have comments, just throw them in the live chat, and we will get to them as we go through everything here. But let's hop over to the little share screen here, and let's listen to what Haason Reddick said when he was initially introduced.
How do you look at it? Is it you're on the last year of your contract? You said, it's a business. Is this a place you hope is a long-term home? Are you looking at this like a one-year situation, or do you believe there's a chance you guys could get an extension done?
All options are open. Right now, currently just worried about being here, meeting everybody that's in the building today. Contractual stuff. I'm giving that up to my agent and Joe to figure out. But whatever happens, I'm going to be happy for her. I'm going to give my all, no matter what, just who I am as a person. So no matter how it goes, how many years, I'm going to be here for however long I'm here for, and I'm going to give the team, the fans, everything that I have.
So he's going to be here for however long he's got to be. The contract wasn't an issue, at least not at this particular point in time. So 𝐒𝐲𝐽, after we heard that, obviously he started holding out at camp. And then today he issues his trade request. And we got from the New York Jets and Joe Douglas, we have informed Haason that we will not trade him, that he is expected to be here with his teammates, and that he will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report. Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent with our position. Our focus will remain on the guys we have here as we prepare for the regular season. Now, first and foremost, if Haason Reddick was happy with his contract, he'd be a Philadelphia Eagle right now. I feel like that's where things sort of stand. Now, maybe there's the cap hit side of things where the Jets said, hey, look, we can eat a $15 million cap hit. The Eagles at this point can't. Them signing Bryce Huff was their way of dropping that initial cap hit because his base salary is so low in year one, and then it will grow bigger as time moves forward. But I think if he was happy with his deal, he would have wound up staying in Philadelphia, which is where he wanted to be to begin with. That being said, you signed a contract, dude. You told us you were going to be on board with this. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. And the leverage changed. We wound up trading John Franklin Myers away during the draft so we could get a little bit of draft capital. It wasn't anything major by any stretch of the imagination. But, we thought we had our edge room set. We had Will McDonald. We got Haason Reddick. We got Jermaine Johnson. We got Michael Clemens. We're feeling all right. Got Quinnen Williams and Kinlaw on the interior part of this defensive line. We're feeling good. But then he decides, oh, well, the leverage has changed. Now I'm going to hold out. Now I feel like that's more of a shame on Joe Douglas, because you should have at least read the tea leaves as far as knowing what could happen if circumstances change. Or maybe Reddick was going to do this even if John Franklin Myers was here. I don't really know. Either way, I'm super irked at Haason Reddick. I think the Jets should not give him any kind of pay increase. I don't think they should guarantee his money if he stretches this out, beyond maybe this week or whatever, because you start risking injury by not participating in training camp. And I think this sends a very clear message to the other players in our locker room. And we're saying, hey, look, if you want a contract, this is not how you're going to do it. We're going to hold you over the flames. And look, from the very beginning, I said in the first video I made, as soon as Haason Reddick was traded here, the Jets are keeping this on a one-year deal. This is a very attractive contract for our team right now because we don't have to sign him to a long-term deal because he's got to come in, play his heart out if he wants to get that big contract on his next team, and we're going to get a compensation pick when he leaves after he signs that fat contract. So, like, I have been on the team don't pay Haason for a while, and now with this trade request, I'm even more, like, sticking to my guns. Dude, you want to rot on the bench for a year? Your contract's going to toll. We'll have you for 2025 too. Tigo, your thoughts?
See, I'm not even all that upset at Joe Douglas about this situation because, like, I don't think it was ever in the cards that we were going to pay Bryce Huff. That was never going to happen. And everything and every report that we saw from the beginning was Haason Reddick was going to play on his deal, that they weren't going to touch the contract until at least midway through this season, that he gave assurances to the Jets and to Philadelphia and to everybody involved in the trade that he wasn't going to do this. Like, that was the whole key, because at the time of the trade, when we did the Haason Reddick trade, I was with you in the same sense of, this is a great move. This is an all-in one-year type move, delaying the Will McDonald needing to come in and be a starter by a year, which is perfect, and all of these things. And I think the thing that changed was the JFM trade. Because the moment that you trade JFM, Haason Reddick immediately becomes a starter. Because there was at least a conversation when we had JFM, which was, of the three guys, who do you start? JJ, Reddick, or JFM? And that was a conversation, at least, because we did have that conversation. And it was generally on first and second down, JFM would come in. On third downs, Reddick would come in. And the good thing is that if they converted on third down, you weren't worried because Reddick can play the run on first down, where we saw what teams did against us when Huff was on the field and they converted on third down, right? Hurry up to the line. Don't let him get off the field, and you run right at him because he's not going to do anything. You don't have that problem with Reddick. So at this point in time, like, it sucks that we're in this situation and it's the same old Jets, blah, 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 blah. But at this point in time, I'm with you. After watching the first preseason game, seeing at least the defensive line being able to hold itself relatively well, but also, like, we saw flashes in the pan from Will McDonald. Michael Clemens was able to hold his own, and then all of the UDFAs and all this. And if there's any staff that I'm going to trust, it's that defensive coaching staff, specifically on that defensive line. Dude, hold out. And I'm with you. I wouldn't give him a penny more. I'm not touching his contract. If he doesn't want to show up, he doesn't show up. His contract holds for another year. And then if he still doesn't want to show up, cool, man. Like, you're out of the game for 2 years. And at this point, you're 32. Who's going to give you, after all of the stories that came out in Philadelphia, and now all of the stuff that you're doing here, basically going back on what you said, who's going to give you a major contract? Who's going to trust anything that you can say? Who's going to trust you or your agent? It's just, this is a really bad move on his part.
It seems like he's got a knucklehead for an agent right now, because not only is this like a really weird situation, you alluded to it in Philadelphia as well. There was some criticism from fans, not Jet fans, but of Philadelphia fans, that this guy gave up at the end of the season. He didn't have a sack for the final 4 games. Like, there was some thought that maybe he protected himself during the last 4 weeks of the season because he thought he was in line for a big payday. And now all this stuff starts to, bubble up to the surface right into training camp, and he's got the Jets over a barrel. Oh, they want to win a Super Bowl. How hungry are they to win? They're going to pay me. This is what's going to happen. Oh, they traded JFM. Guess what? It's even better for me now. That's sort of the mentality he had going into this. But he doesn't realize the Jets only gave up. The only thing we have on the hook right now is a 2026 third-round pick, which Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are not going to be here if we don't wind up winning anyway. But, like, they don't care about that pick. It's a throwaway pick for all we care. And, like, Are you more willing to eat $15 million and not come out and participate, and then try to think you can parlay that from 4 years of giving 4 games of giving up on your team at the end of last year, plus giving up on your team for this year? What team is going to pay you the $25 to $28 million a year you're looking for? We saw what happened with the Le'Veon Bell contract. Dude sat out for an entire season and lost that money.
And didn't come back at the same level.
No, he did not come back at the same level. It was bad. Now, I mean, you could argue the Jets' offensive line was really bad, and he had a really good offensive line in Pittsburgh, so there's that maybe. But he didn't look good in, where was he, Kansas City after that too? Like, he was cooked after that. So how does Reddick respond after 1 year off?
And it's like you're doing it so late in terms of like your football playing career. Like if you were 26 and doing this, that's one thing, right? Because if you, let's say, miss the year that you're 26 and you come back and you're 27, maybe the 27 years a little iffy, and then you're back to full strength because you're back at playing, right? It's the crazy part to me is like we saw this with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. He sits out a year because he gets accused of diddling a bunch of masseuses, right? And he comes back and gets hurt almost immediately. He doesn't look good, can't stay healthy. Like it doesn't look like a good situation for him. And not that it doesn't look like a good situation. He's been getting better, but it's got delayed. But he's young. He's got 8 more years on him. It's crazy. Frankie, because Frankie said it in the chat, Frankie from Flatbush. So I'm gonna give him a quick shout out. It doesn't make sense that this is coming from his agents, because his agents and who represents him, who are Tory Dandy and Jimmy Sexton, they are very, very, very experienced, knowledgeable, and intelligent agents. This has to be coming from him, because I don't see a world in which those two guys are both in here. Because you mentioned the fans saying that he gave up on the end of the season. Dude, it wasn't just the fans. Do you remember that report that The Athletic wrote that basically said that his teammates, that the interior defensive linemen, that the linebackers and some of the coaches all said that he was playing selfishly and that he was trying to play for his contract?
Chasing sacks or something was the...
Yeah, he was giving up on the game plan. Yeah, and he was chasing sacks. Dude, I remember that I think you and I did a show, or it might have been me and Green Bean at the time, whatever it was. And I defended Reddick at that point, which is just like, well, yeah, dude is trying to do his job. He's chasing sacks. Like, that's not a bad thing.
Sure.
And I still kind of understand that. But through this lens of all, like, it's just coming out to be like, I'm all for a player getting his money. As long as you're upfront and clear from the beginning. Quinnen Williams held out last year. People don't remember that, but he held out last year. But he was upfront, very clear. Until I get a new contract, I'm not coming in because I'm not going to risk injury. Let's work something out. From the jump, we knew that this was going to happen. That's what him and his agent told Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas said, cool, let's just work out on the details. That's fine. And that's why no one was upset with that situation. A player, your lifetime to make as much money as possible is very short. Go get your money. The part that pisses me off is that he told Joe Douglas, he told Saleh, he told Ulbrich, he told the organization, nah, I'll be here. And then came here after the trade, stood up in front of the media and told every single one of us, nah, I'll be here. And then the first opportunity that he had to show up, he's like, I want more money. Give me more money. I'm not cool with making $15 million this year.
So what do you think and Blitzkrieg, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to get to it in just a second. What do you think the end game here is for the Jets? Like, are we expecting to see what you and I want and just, sit on it and, hey, you're coming in and you're not showing up? Do we think Reddick actually misses regular season games? Or do you think there's some kind of folding one way or the other, some type of compromise?
The only way out of this is both parties concede. That's the only way out of this. Because, like, if we want the best case scenario for the New York Jets, it's he comes back to camp, he does what Ayuk is doing, and he does a hold in, not a hold out, right? He does a hold in. And because he's at camp, at least in the meeting rooms, they'll negotiate and they do what the original plan was, which is we'll guarantee some of your non-guaranteed money for this year so that you're not worried. And we'll put some assurances and things in place in case of injury, yada, 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 yada. Because obviously that's what his worry is. Defensive end is a very tough position. And if he gets hurt, he's out of a ton of money anyway. But at this point in time, I don't see a world in which he gets an extension. We're not going to trade him. That's just not going to happen. And so I think that's the most likely scenario, is that's what we head towards. But I don't know, man. It's just, it kind of feels inevitable that he's just going to sit out the year and his contract's going to just toll over. I know we're not going to budge. Joe Douglas isn't going to budge. He doesn't. And if 𝐒𝐻AAN Reddick is going to be this stubborn and, like, pardon my French, this stupid, and he's not going to budge, dude, you have an opportunity on a Super Bowl, like on a Super Bowl roster. That's what this New York Jets team is. Sure. And it's just like the last time you had this opportunity was with the Eagles and you went to a Super Bowl. Like, and they didn't want you, and we do. So, like, you don't have a ring. You don't have anything. Like, you want to go get paid. Go lift up a trophy with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I just don't see where it is. And we meet in the middle and we do the thing that we originally said, or he sits out for the whole year. It's one of the two extremes, because I don't see an extension coming.
No, extension I can't see happening. I can't see the trade. So it's got to be they come to some sort of mutual agreement, or 𝐒𝐻AAN Reddick bends the knee. I feel like it's got to be one of those. Blitz Crew comes in. Thank you so much, dude. Drops a 10 spot. Says, fine with original Reddick deal. He is not the kind of guy that is in the Jets' future. I'd like how JD talked about the fines. He liked how JD talked about the fines. We have enough DN talent without him. Want him to play, but on our terms. So this is going to, like, kind of pivot to my next point here. And I want to get your thoughts on Will McDonald. I don't know if you had a chance. I posted an every snap from Will McDonald from this past preseason game. If you guys haven't checked that out, Jets Talk 24/7. Got a few all-in plays for Braylon Allen and Will McDonald and Corley, and I think I did Tyrod too. But what do you think about Will McDonald's performance in the Commanders game? And more importantly, I guess, what do you envision for this edge room with no 𝐒𝐻AAN Reddick, seemingly having Michael Clemens be the starter?
I think people are reading too much into the starter conversation and that whole thing. So going on the first part with the Will McDonald, I really liked what I saw. I think he played, like 11 snaps, and like 6 of them were away from him, so he couldn't really impact the game all that much. And then the one quarterback hit that he had was a BS where they pulled it back because he didn't lift his arm that wide, which, on a side note, I love the fact that after that play, Will McDonald runs off the field and you immediately see him go up to JJ, already taking that leadership role and being like, dude, you got called on that because you got to put your arms up. Just arms up and try to roll to and, like, giving him that coaching, because, like, that's important. He hasn't had those opportunities in games to get the benefit of the doubt of those calls. So I love that. So, but I think what a better way to look at this is Michael Clemens, because of his size and strength, provides you with a skill set that's better suited for first and second down. And Will McDonald, because of his lack of size and strength, but because of his excess of speed and athleticism, is a much better fit for third down. And so that is, I think, the way that they're going to play it is going to be, okay, Will McDonald, because you weren't able to put on the weight that you wanted to this offseason, you're going to be our Bryce Huff replacement. You're the pass rushing specialist, but that can actually play on first and second down, so we're not all that worried about it. And then Michael Clemens, you're the new JFM. You're big enough to play on the outside, so where you're just too big enough to be a full-time outside. You're just too small enough to be a full-time inside. You can play the outside on first and second down. You can do that great. McDonald sprint on when it needs for us to go get a sack, because that spin move is still lethal. Like he put that dude on skates. If you haven't gone and watched the video, guys, go and watch the video. He puts man on skates. He's watching ice hockey out there. It's insane. But I think that's the way that it's going to be. I think they're both going to be starters. As long as Reddick's not there, that's how I see the rotation happening. And then you go JJ on the other side, relatively full-time with, I don't know who's probably winning that fourth job, whether it's McGregor, whether it's whoever it is. That's a conversation that we can have for a different day. But whoever that guy is will come in on, second down here and there to provide some relief.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. We kind of have like a hybrid front that you could have like 2 lines deep of almost anyone play. And 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐻 does sort of fill that JFM role from a size perspective. We still run into that issue that we had with Huff, I guess similar to last year, where we don't really trust McDonald to be the run defender on a third down that, the other team converts. Because then you got a guy that's, just not as strong against the run on the field, and they could run right at him.
But he's better than Huff was. From the tape, at least.
Huff was like
he has a better skill set. Yeah. So that's why I think you feel comfortable in that situation, or at least I would feel comfortable in that situation with Will McDonald in that role, is because at least McDonald has he's just slippery. You can't really hold on to him. And so because of that, it gives him kind of an ability to be in and around run plays, but he's not going to have the negative impact that Huff had. I don't think he has I think he's just a he's a net nothing. He doesn't affect the play in a positive or a negative way on rundowns. And that's not a bad thing from a pass rushing specialist, because most pass rushing specialists are a net negative in the run game.
So I guess we probably need to see more snaps from him, because they did run the opposite direction. They kind of ran to the right side of the line more frequently than the left. I think they might have done 1 or 2 plays to the left-hand side. So interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this kind of plays out. I'm definitely feeling a little sour on Will McDonald right now. I was very underwhelmed. I was hoping to see a little bit more of that, Jermaine Johnson style second-year leap, and it through training camp that I've seen and through the preseason, it just doesn't feel like he's to that level yet. And that's not to say he won't get there. I mean, heck, even Haason Reddick didn't really have like the best start to his career. It was definitely like a little slower to start. He figured it out. And then, we know Will McDonald has the speed. So if he puts it all together, I would say I'm still optimistic with him, but definitely a little concerned. Hype comes into the super chat. Yeah, you think that's what you think it is?
Weight.
But like, do we
100% think it is?
Do you think we wind up running into an issue then where it's like, hey, put on a little bit of weight and now you're too slow to do the magic that you were drafted for?
No, I don't. I think he can. I think his frame can come. He's at 256 right now. I think he can comfortably carry another 15 pounds and keep his speed and explosiveness without sacrificing it, because he's so long and he's so lanky and so he has the it's weird, but he has the places to hide the extra mass. The problem is that he's not carrying that extra mass. So when he tries to convert his speed to power, it doesn't work because he doesn't have enough mass behind it. The jump that JJ saw in year 2 was because JJ was able to put on extra mass and keep his strength to power conversion that he had in year 1. So in year 1, it wasn't as effective because he didn't have that extra mass. In year 2, he had that extra mass, and now his speed to power works. Now he could bully people. So is he at 2? No way he's at 235. Okay, so he's at 235.
I thought 240.
I thought it was
230.
You're right. His goal was to be at 256. I remembered it incorrectly, and he didn't get there. So again, I think he can get to 250, 260 and keep his speed to power ratio relatively close. So
you think he can do it? Hype comes in. He's asking,
I think he can.
Would you trade Reddick for Judon straight up? I think Judon is 32. Both guys currently looking for contracts. I don't think so. I mean, Reddick to me is a lethal type of pass rusher. Judon is a very good pass rusher. and maybe I'm just getting myself into trouble talking about it like that, but like I would rather keep Reddick here and force him to play on his $15 million a year deal or let him walk, unless we're like given something better. Like I think Reddick's just a better player than Judon is right now. So that doesn't feel like a better move, especially if we got to pay Judon. Like, is Judon going to accept a $15 million contract? Because that's about as much as we're going to be willing to pay right now. What do you think?
It's a weird situation because like they both want new contracts. At least Judon is doing it the right way. Shows up to camp. He's still doing his stuff. Like he's not holding out and he's not even holding in. He's just like, look, I want a new contract. Give me the new contract. I deserve it. The reality is I don't see a world in which either team does the trade. If you're the Jets, I wouldn't want to send Reddick to the Patriots. If you're the Patriots, you don't want to send Judon to the Jets. And in the inverse, if Judon comes here, he's still going to want a contract extension. And I don't think he'd take the 1 year, $15 million. He's going to want something longer than that, especially at 32. And while the Patriots might be more interested in giving Reddick the extension because of him being 30, they might give him a 3-year, 4-year extension on that front. I just don't see a world in which either team would do that trade.
Yeah, we have seen Douglas trade with the Patriots, so it's not totally irrational, but it just doesn't feel like a net positive for the Jets. Like, we're going to have to go against this dude for probably longer than Judon, and Judon's not going to accept the contract that we currently have Haason Reddick under. So I think it's probably a not happening. Hype. Hype comes in with another super chat. He says, there's a difference between adding weight and gaining strength. Jets want 99 to play stronger or have confidence in his strength. He just needs reps. Hopefully the reps just kind of iron some of this stuff out. I don't believe he was going against the starting offensive line when we saw him in preseason. So this still tells me like he's got a ways to go at this point. And for where I was hoping he'd be right now, I thought I'd feel a lot more confident in our defensive line. Like us having lost Al Woods to injury, Jefferson to the Browns, JFM to the Broncos, Bryce Huff to the Eagles, and then to get someone who does not want to play right now on his existing contract in Haason Reddick, it just feels like we fumbled the defensive line, even though I do like the additions of 𝐒𝐲𝐚𝐬 Kinlaw. Fotu's been pretty good. We've got some good young studs. Undrafted free agent guys like a McGregor, like a Hayes, Taylor, those types of guys that are sitting back there. So I don't know. Do you think the difference, do you think it's not so much adding weight as much as it is playing with more strength?
I think we're talking about the same thing. We're just saying it differently. The point of adding weight is to add strength.
Yeah, well, it's a physics lesson, right? Like more mass times your speed equals the force that you're hitting someone with.
Yeah, and it's not like a thing of, it's not a Mekhi Becton weight thing where it's like he needs to get to a certain number just so that his body doesn't kill him. Like that's not what we're talking about, right? With Will McDonald, he's an incredibly healthy human being. The whole point is just like you said, it's the physics lessons. He is maximizing the strength available to him with his speed. You can increase the maximum level by adding weight. No, I'm not telling the guy to go eat Hot Pockets for every meal. We want it to be good weight, hit the weight room and carnivore diet it up or whatever it is that he needs to do to put on that extra 15 pounds. But I think we're talking about the same thing. The one thing that I did want to talk back on is while I did like the moves that we had last year and the defensive line that we had last year, I do feel like generally speaking, we did make upgrades on the defensive line. I feel like from what we've seen from Kinlaw, I think you can confidently say that he is either at the same level or slightly better than Quentin Jefferson was last year for us.
I hope so.
Time will tell.
We got Quentin Jefferson. He popped off with us. I think his arrival is similar to the expectations maybe we had of Jefferson initially. I feel like Jefferson outperformed what we initially thought of him.
Well, Kinlaw's outperforming what I originally thought. I did not like the Kinlaw signing, at all.
I thought the
And
dollars and cents didn't make sense. I like the player.
that's the bit. I liked the player, hated the money, and now it's starting to make a little bit more sense. Like 𝐓𝐢𝐿 and Al Woods, I don't feel like that's any different, anything really there.
I've been impressed with
I
𝐓𝐢𝐿
think
so far.
Yeah, my thing is just like, I'm impressed that he's not bad. Does that make sense? I expected him to be bad, and he's not. And I'm like, oh,
I guess I kind of wrote him off.
You're doing your job. Like, that's good.
I was gonna say, it sort of seems like when we got him from Arizona, I sort of felt like, maybe he makes the team, maybe he doesn't. I'm not gonna be like super banged up either way. It's just a camp, just a body that might make the team. But I thought he's performed well, along with Takk McKinley and like some of the other guys that we've seen on the defensive line. I guess in my mind, the drop off is the JFM, to 𝐒𝐻EMINS. Like, does 𝐒𝐻EMINS sort of rebound from a down year last year? I think if he takes the step we were hoping from year 1 to year 2, and he actually makes it in year 3, I think we'll be fine there. And then obviously just getting Reddick in. Reddick is an upgrade over Huff when they're on the field. It's just getting them on the field that I think is the biggest issue we're dealing with.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation that we're going to have, but I think that the depth is so much better. Braden McGregor, Leonard Taylor. Like, Leonard Taylor has impressed me enough to say that Solomon Thomas might be one of the best like assistant defensive line coaches in the NFL at this point, because like, I don't want a team where Leonard Taylor's not on it. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted us to draft him.
You're Florida.
Let alone getting him as a UDFA. Like, on day 2, not like with the
set, like early.
Yeah, early. Like in the in the 3rd or the 4th. I still don't know. And this because I was gone and I didn't look all that into it because I was just happy that we got our guy. Like, during summer scouting, he had a 1st-round grade on him. It was a 1st-round grade in summer scouting. In November, he still had a 1st-round grade on him. Leonard Taylor did in November. And then something changed, and now he goes on. Like, was he out there telling people that he was shooting dogs? Like, I don't know what happened for him to go UDFA.
I think what happened was he was accused of taking plays off and like not being as motivated. But then you look at some of the analytics on the guy, and it's like he played, I think it was like 18 pass rush snaps from like the 3 technique, and was like elite, like absolutely dominant. So like,
that's my point.
We're just gonna try and figure it out here, and like, pin your ears back, dude. Let's go.
Like, it's just, I never understood this. I still had a day 2 grade on him going into the grade. I knew about him taking off snaps. Like, I knew about that. And I was just like, sometimes there are players that take off reps and then they get to the pro level and then they stop taking off reps. And then there's some players who take off reps and they get to the pro level and they still take off reps. And it's just like, it's crazy that he went, like, even if he is taking off reps, that was a criticism that people had of, who did the 𝐒𝐫𝐢𝐿 Thibodeau, that he would take off reps. And he still went in the top 10.
He went, what, 5? Right?
I don't remember.
It was the Giants pick. I think it was right after us, 5.
I know it was the Giants pick. I just don't remember what the pick was. That
was a silly
blows my mind that he went to UDFA. So
Lavilla drops in with the super chat, says, we have a Super Bowl defense with or without Reddick. I think we have a very good elite defense without Reddick. I think we have a Super Bowl like game wrecking defense with Reddick. So I don't want to misconstrue this as like, oh, screw Reddick, we don't need him at all. Like, I very much want this guy to play this year because I think he does give us the best chance to put the quarterback on his ass. Not to mention just the strip sacks that this guy gets. The amount of times that he's come around the edge and given his team an extra offensive possession is huge. We missed out on so many turnover potential plays last year. One, because we didn't hold a lead until halfway through week 4 with the ball in our hands, which is nuts to think. And then, like, I don't know. I feel like having him come off the edge is a net positive that we should all want here, even though I'm confident in our defense without him. I just think we're maybe not as bulletproof with the injuries, maybe. But maybe we have so much depth anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't know.
No,
what do you think?
I think what you said is perfectly right. I think what you said is absolutely right. Our defense is better with him than without him. I think the thing is this, I think that our defense arguably was the best defense in the NFL last year.
Mm.
And if we take a step back and stay in the top 5, even if Reddick, without Reddick,
Mhm.
and our offense takes the jump that we expect it to take with the new O-line, Rodgers staying healthy, a new backup, new play calling designs, a whole lot more use of motion and pre-snap movement, which I've been a big fan of, which is something that Rodgers hasn't done a lot in his career, but you need in today's day and age to win games. Like, it's one of those things of like, we're not going to have the worst offense anymore, so we don't need the best defense anymore. If we can stay in the top 5, which I still think we absolutely can, because we still have the best secondary and linebacker duo in the NFL, the D-line taking a step back isn't that bad of an issue if the whole offense takes a huge step forward. But this defense is better with Haason Reddick playing and on the field. I'm not going to sit here and try to put Gotham green colored glasses on and say, oh, we don't need him. No. I would like for him to be on my team. I will support him. I won't root for him, kind of a thing at this point.
Yeah.
I will support him as long as he is in Gotham green. I don't like him. I don't have to like him. And I'm not going to.
Reddick. You're
come out and get 20 sacks and maybe I changed my mind. But like after all this stuff,
giddy.
Nope.
20 sacks. Oh, I'm over the moon.
Yeah, 20. I'll get a Reddick jersey. Yeah, 20. I'll get a Reddick jersey. Until then, I'm burning effigies because I'm just so sick of this story.
I want to see our best self, and Reddick on the field is our best self. It's gonna be really frustrating if we waited all off season and be like, wow, I can't wait to like see these guys pin their ears back, and this is where we're stuck. Really annoying. Jake, what's up,
Totally
dude?
agree.
Comes in and says, if Green Bean was GM, Reddick would be at camp. If Green Bean was GM, we'd still have Denzel Mims and all the boys that we don't have right now. That's okay.
Reddick
Green Bean would find a way. He'd be like,
Huff.
Reddick, you come in here, I'm going to spank you. like that would be Green Bean's like sort of tactic, I feel like.
Can tell you this right now, Reddick would not be at camp because he would be holding out with the Eagles because he would have extended Huff.
There you go. Well, I feel like all of us wanted Huff. Once we hit him with the second round tender last offseason, that was the doozy that kind of broke the camel's back, I think. Blitz Crew says, without Haason, who now makes the team? So I guess if we want to count, do we want to say 9 or 10 defensive linemen? And we'll try to count through it that way.
11.
Okay, well, let's say 10. We'll split the difference. I said
I want 11.
We'll go 10. So we've got JJ.
Yep.
We've got McDonald. We've got Kinlaw.
Yep.
We have Quinnen. We have Clemens. I think Tack makes this team. I think he's played well enough. I think you can argue Taylor's, playing himself into a role here. Fotu's going to be here. I think.
Solly's going to be here.
Solly should be here. Solomon Thomas is almost an interesting player that I feel like you could get away with cutting and he'd still stay loyal to
you just wouldn't sign a deal anywhere.
It'd be like, hey, like we're gonna bring you back. We just have to try and protect these guys from like the initial like cut down day or something. But Solomon Thomas, and then I feel like I'm missing something.
Is he a vested veteran where he doesn't have to clear waivers?
Oh, you're right. You're definitely right because he's 2017. I'm pretty sure that was the draft.
Right, he's a vested veteran. He doesn't have to clear waivers.
Yeah.
We could theoretically so then in that world we go 9 because you would keep Reddick and then no, because Reddick doesn't count to the roster at all.
Yeah,
you wouldn't have to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So then at that point you keep Watts and McGregor or Attack and McGregor. Sorry.
Yeah. So then you get to keep all your like little gems that you think you have, and then you figure out on the other side. Man, that's interesting. This D-line is stacked. It really is exciting. And I'm excited to see the next 2 games. I don't know how much we're going to learn from the Panthers game.
Yes.
I'll be honest.
No.
The Giants game, again, we don't know if they're going to play their starters. Like last year, we played our starters. They played their backups. So, like, very tough to figure out what's going on.
I think either way, we're going to learn a lot because it's not about learning about the first team. Like, that's not the point. It's about learning about the second team. And at this point in time, I want Will McDonald to get the 𝐒𝐲𝐚𝐬 treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Olu was out there for so long.
Dude, he looked pretty good. So like let's
great.
Let's transition this part into the Commanders Jets recap at this point. 15 minutes left in the stream. So I really liked what we got out of Olu. There were some things that weren't, 100% polished, but his first, NFL action. I really liked the fake jab that he did. The Tyron Smith, like, hey, I'm gonna pretend jab you and then keep going back. Like, oh, he's learning already. Like that. The Tyron Smith signing, bearing fruit. I didn't catch it at the time. I saw Nanny's clip after the fact, and I was like, whoa!
I caught it.
Awesome.
Every snap, I didn't care about anybody else because I knew you were going to be posting the every snap video. Like, I knew it. So every snap, I was just watching the O-line. My eyes would jump from Tippmann to Olu, from Tippmann to Olu, from Tippmann to Olu, every single snap, depending on the defensive alignment. I caught that live, and I was like, Tyron Smith. I was like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's on the screen. And I was like, because remember, I didn't want to draft him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything against him as a player. I didn't want to draft him. And it's just, this is why we drafted him. And it's like, okay, JD, you're smarter than I am. This is why you're an NFL GM and I'm a stay-at-home dad. But like, it's that thing of just like, he didn't do that at Penn State. I watched him at Penn State. It wasn't a thing in his repertoire, but he's learning, and that's the benefit of it. And it's like, it's not just him. I saw similar things from the other offensive linemen, Carter Warren, Max Mitchell. Like they all, and again, it was against 2s and 3s, but they all had slight changes to their game where you're just like, where'd you learn that from? I know it's not our O-line coach.
Yeah, no.
I know it's not our O-line coach. You
Well,
can hang out with Morgan Moses,
now, right? We're doing Keith Carter's got, or is it Carter? Who's our O-line coach right now? I think Carter's been. Yeah, I was gonna say Carter's been doing some new, some fun stuff on the offensive line. According to KRL, who was doing the training camp reports for a while, he's like, oh, there's some new drills coming out, and this is what we're seeing. So maybe it's a combination of some good veteran leadership between Moses and Tyron, and like just better coaching overall, and also not having like Becton there. I feel like Becton kind of dragged down people to some extent. Like it just felt like he was all about, me, and these guys feel like the we, which is kind of nice to see. As far as other dudes that performed well, I was elated with Braylon Allen. Dude, before the draft, we were talking about it January. We're like, dude, this kid's a freak. Like this kid is an absolute monster. I don't know if the Jets are going to wind up pulling the trigger on it or not, or if he's going to go earlier. I thought maybe he'd go like 3rd round in the draft, and for him to fall to us and actually pull the trigger. Were you on stream with us when that happened? I think it might have been Richie and oh god,
it wasn't me. No,
it was. Richie.
I was on stream, I believe, for the Jordan Travis pick.
Yes, that's what it was. We had Richie and oh damn it, why am I forgetting Jude? There it is. we had Jude on it for the other Jude Jets. But yeah, dude, we were like, oh man, this dude like finally starts balling out. This guy's like 1B. That's how I thought of him like coming into the league, and he's surpassed what I thought he would be right now. He's fast, he's shifty. He like, it looks kind of like a Breece clone out there. Not quite the same like gliding type of run style that Breece has, but like, if anything, if you needed to say, hey, Breece, we're going to sit you down for the 4th quarter so that way you're not like overworked, I'm totally down with even Davis too. I thought Davis played well. Like very much liked what we got out of the 2 running backs. What'd you think?
Okay, so I want to walk that back a little bit. I loved what I saw out of Braylon Allen. Linebackers and safeties in the NFL are going to have to make business decisions when it comes down to tackling Agent Zero. Like that is a business decision. Like, do you want your next paycheck? Like, do you want to stay on the field? Because he is a walking, I'm going to give you a concussion. Like, that is a business like, you have to sit here. It's like tackling Derrick Henry, not to that extent, where it's just like, you have to make a business decision. Because I remember this, my friends are Steelers fans, and we were watching the Steelers versus the Titans, and one of their linebackers, Spillane, met with Henry in the gap and brought him down, and he broke his collarbone.
Just a big dude.
He made a business decision that day, got the tackle, and he broke his collarbone. Just boom, cracked, and he was done for the game, I believe is what happened. And so, like, that's like, you have to make a business decision with Braylon Allen. And it's just like, I love the wombo combo that is, you can't tackle Breece because you can't touch him. And you can't tackle Braylon because he's just stronger than you are. Deal with it. Like, that's just it. He wants to hurt you. So he's not gonna try to make you miss. What he's gonna do is he's gonna try to find the middle of your chest and crack some ribs. And I loved that out of him. I was genuinely surprised with his ability in the pass game. He was an outlet, an incredible outlet for the guys out there, and being able to just, move and bob and weave and all of those things. Like, nope, I'm sorry, that was Isaiah Davis. I was impressed with his ability. Dude, just they brought a level of, I was on the train of Izzy is still RB3. I am now on I don't think Izzy makes this team.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Which sucks because I was a huge Izzy fan. But from what we saw from Braylon Allen's rushing ability and what we saw out of Isaiah Davis's pass catching ability, plus both of their abilities in pass protection, dude, there was one play where they just let a linebacker go through, and I was like, crap, Tyler Rod's going to get smacked. And Braylon just came in and was like, nah, you stop right here. And it was just like, and just a collision of men. And I'm just like, dude, isn't he like 19? Isn't he the youngest player ever drafted?
He won't be 21 until we're heading to the Super Bowl. It's like the final week of January.
He won't be able to drink at the playoff celebration party. Like, let that sink in. When we make the playoff and we pop the champagne bottles and it's just like,
yeah,
he won't be able to.
With our luck, they'll be like, yeah, just have a sip. And then they'll be like, illegal drinking. You're done for a game.
Dude,
like,
I think for safety, he can't even be in the locker room just in case it pops. You pop the champagne and just a drop lands on him and the NFL comes in and it's just like, not because there's a little drop just lands on his tongue. Boom, illegal underage drinking. Can't be in the locker room, my guy. But he just like, again, you got to make business decisions with this young man. It's insane.
Dude, very, very happy with the running backs, very happy with the offensive line overall. And then when we go outside to the wide receivers, specifically talking about Corley, I just want to see a little bit more. They played him pretty long time. I think he played the entire first half, if I'm not mistaken. Used him as a little bit of a decoy. I think there was an opportunity for him to really rip off a long run. I think he bounced it outside or inside or something like that. He should have went the opposite direction. I have to go back and look at it.
He ran back, yeah.
Yeah.
He ran back inside instead of trying to.
Yeah, I feel like we'll get more and more from him as he starts to feel a little more comfortable, so I'm not overly concerned at all. The one player that really stood out to me, and let me know if you felt the same way, Jared Bernard-Converse. Like, even the long pass that he gave up in the first quarter, was very impressed with how he played overall, considering we hadn't really seen him at all.
I was about to bring him up. That was the guy that I was going to bring up.
Duds, other than Allen, JBC was my guy.
JBC was my guy that I was going to bring up because one, I love corners. JBC, Stiggers have made, like, we had this conversation last week where I said Eccles was the DJ Reed replacement.
Yep.
I don't know about that, man.
Nope.
I don't know anymore. Because you can let Eccles go. Give MC2 his money. Let DJ Reed go get paid. He absolutely deserves it. I love DJ Reed for being on this team. Thank you very, very much. Stiggers and JBC, the thing that blows my mind is just this is why I love JBC and what we've seen from him, is the story behind all of it. At LSU, they played him as a corner. They played him as a safety. They didn't really know. They just kind of, someone comes off, he kind of goes on kind of a thing. It was a weird situation. And when he came in, he was drafted as a corner, and then they moved him over to safety. Got hurt a ton last year, and it didn't really like work. And then this year they moved him back outside to corner. And then the moment they made that move and they said JBC's a corner, I was like, he's gone. You can't keep moving a player and doing all. He's gone. It's just not going to work with. And he was probably our best defensive player out there, outside of the one pass that he let get caught. And again,
it was the perfect.
He played
pass.
that perfectly.
It was great position.
It wasn't. It was a perfect pass. The guy was just stronger than he was, and like that's not anything to be ashamed about. Sometimes you just get mossed. Sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just it's one hiccup on what was a very long and impressive stretch where they threw at him, and he was involved in the run game. I loved what I saw out of JBC and Stiggers. It was great. It's in the run game, in the pass game, all of that stuff. I loved it.
Blitz Crew comes in. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Says, we need sparkling cider, not champagne this year. I'm on board. We could do a
and the circle gets the square. Absolutely.
Sauce doesn't drink either. We could totally do sparkling, cider.
There it is. We found the solution.
That's what it is.
That's what F1 does.
Maybe I'll just have to when we're getting amped up for playoff time, if we hopefully make it to that point in the season and we can get in, I'll pop a bottle of sparkling cider. That'll be my little celebration.
Oh, yeah, no, I was very happy with what we saw from a lot of the players. Really liked Leonard Taylor, his sack and his contribution. I'm a big fan of his. I've mentioned it many, many times. I liked what we saw out of '𝐒𝐲�0, 4 catches on 5 targets. The one, and you can see that he's learning, and the thing too with the 𝐒𝐲𝐚𝐧 drop, pickup, save play, and it's just obviously that's a fluke, but what that tells me is just oh, he's got his head on a swivel.
He's aware. He knows his surroundings.
He knows where the ball is going. He knows the playbook. He knows where the ball is going, and he's aware. And that matters. Also, his contribution in the run game, very willing. Needs to work on it. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But again, his willingness to do it. That's the biggest thing. Being involved in the run game, it's a lot of really, really good things that we saw from there. And then the one camp battle that I don't think anybody expected, Andrew Peasley and Adrian Martinez. I'm excited for that. For no reason. It's just which one of these two guys are we going to keep on the practice squad? But it's just, I love these dumb camp battles that don't matter.
Well, you know what? To me, I just want to be entertained while I'm watching this later into the game itself. Because once the starters come out and I'm trying to do my every throw or every play or whatever, I do have the Olu every snap on the channel as well. But once they come out, then it's well, I guess I could start editing now because no one's really going to care about, an Adrian Martinez friggin' highlight reel or anything like that. I don't know. I'm happy with where we're headed. I'm looking forward to the Panthers game. I want to see more out of some of these question marks. Will McDonald, Olu, 𝐒𝐲�0 are really going to be the main ones I'm looking at. Obviously, I'll keep an eye on Allen and some of the more exciting ones that we got from this time. But I just want to see, can these guys continue to improve and continue to impress, or at least trajectory aiming in the right direction. Boys and girls, if you haven't done so already, vote on the poll question in the live chat. We got about 2 minutes here. Trading for Haason Reddick was a good move, calculated risk, too risky, or a bad move. Tigo, where would you put this on your side? Did you vote, and what would you vote for?
Is this with hindsight? Am I evaluating the trade now?
Well, I mean, you could say based on how you felt at the time and how you felt now. My opinion still stays the same as what I had initially, and I feel like you're
me too.
Close.
I want to say that it was a good move. At the time, it made sense.
Calculated risk was my thought.
Here's my thing, and I want to agree with you with it. It's a calculated risk. I feel like the calculated risk would have been you trade for him without talking to him first. That would have been a calculated risk, right? Having the assurances from him and his camp that he wasn't going to do the things that he is doing now, that to me is where I thought, oh, he said he's going to show up, that he's not going to do the things that he's doing now. It's a good move. We upgraded at the defensive line. Yay. That's what we wanted to do. So it's just probably land on calculated risk, but it shouldn't have been a calculated risk. Just don't be a lying SOB, and just, it's not that hard not to lie.
It's fair. That's a reasonable stance on this. Before we hop off, I see Andrew Yale's question here. Quick thoughts on the kickoffs. I think we are seeing very vanilla kickoffs right now, and we are going to be in for a lot more fun. I have a video dropping tomorrow where I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about this. I am very, very excited for where this kickoff is going to be heading. And I think teams are kind of trying to hide their cards until week 1. And I think you'll see an explosive. I think you're going to see a lot more good players on special teams than we did in the past.
Yes. It's fun because so I have been watching every single highlight of the preseason, not because I care about any of these other teams, but just to watch the new kickoff. And like you said, we're getting pretty vanilla like sets from a lot of teams, but we're already starting to see some of these ideas come into play. And we're going to see a lot more explosive plays this year from the kickoff. They're gonna adjust the rule a little bit or something along those lines to like tone it down, because I wish I remember the game so that I could send everybody to it to go watch it. I don't remember because I've watched all of them, but there was one play in specifically where they just like they sent everybody one way and then they all turned the other way. And so it's one guy running against the grain, and it's just, okay, if you want to get to him, everybody's facing the same direction. It's kind of, if you go back and you watch our punt return in week 1 last year, that's what happened. It was, X running this way while the defense was running this way and moving people out of the way. And you're seeing some teams already starting to manufacture this. Oh, we're going to push these guys this way, turn around, and then move everybody. It's really fun. I'm excited because the kickoff matters again. Like, that's the thing that's awesome. It's not just a ceremonial play. And so we'll see how it ultimately ends up. I'm just excited that every play matters again because every play should matter.
I'm in complete agreement with you. The only thing I will say is I wish they could make the onside kick different. I want it to be the same percentage it used to be. Right now, you can't really get an onside kick. I want to see the 4th and 15. That would put me over the top. I'd be through the moon. Tigo, any last words for our panel tonight?
Haason Reddick, stop being a dick.
Boys and girls, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to be heading over to the call-in show, so you guys are going to be directed over there. I want to get your thoughts on everything Tigo and I talked about, as well as some of the topics going on from around our New York Jets. This is Talkin' Jets signing off. Jets.